Gurleenjit Kaur Randhawa Teardrops of a Rose. Imagine Part 2. Teardrops of a Rose. Teardrops of a Rose. A rose is a very delicate flower, it's very fragile, and it has a very faint scent too, but if you treat it right, and love it and take care of it and have patience, it can blossom into a very beautiful and gorgeous flower, so light, fragile, and beautiful. It's also not just one color. I know most of us only think of bold red when we hear the word rose, but there's so many other colors in real life. Pink, light pink, white, and if you cut the stem and put it in a glass of water with food dye, it will turn the color of the food dye. For example, if you use green food dye, you will get a green rose. Now this is a good comparison to real life. A human has very delicate and fragile feelings, and if someone says something wrong or does something without thinking, they would be hurt, but if you have patience with someone and treat them right, they could become an amazing person. And when we think of a person, for girls we immediately think about a tall girl, with thin legs and thighs, long luscious hair, abs, thick arms, long lashes, beautiful eyes, and moist lips, and for men, we immediately think about a tall guy with abs and muscles everywhere, but do we forget about everything else? Do we forget that there are people who don't have abs? And that there are short people? And sometimes the people who look perfect use plastic surgery, and that's completely fine if they are doing it for the right purpose. I know sometimes people will say he didn't mean it or it was just out of anger, but the thing is, we still heard it, and it's there, and it's very important to remember that sorry doesn't fix everything. And sometimes it doesn't even help. Once it's done, it's done. Imagine throwing a plate on the ground. If you just say sorry to it, it won't fix itself, and no matter how hard you try to piece it together, it will never be the same. Roses are known as the flower that symbolizes love. They're given to a significant other as a gift and are a very sweet gift, but roses are also the thing that is given as an apology when something bad happens. Let's say you misbehave in a relationship and your significant other finds out, you would most likely just say sorry and give them flowers. So a rose is like a coin, it's two-faced and many people have it, and it has many different uses. Do you ever wonder why we only tend to give roses as a gift when it's a special occasion? Why don't we give our partner a gift whenever we want to? Why do we have to wait for a valid reason to make them feel special? And why do we have to have something bad happen to realize what we're doing is wrong? Why can't we realize and stop doing the wrong thing before something happens? We need to realize that saying sorry and giving a rose doesn't fix everything. So next time you're about to do something, try to think about it and think of how it will not only affect your image and you but how it will affect others. Nikita K. Rulhaksovsky from San Onofre, California is known as the largest rose ever, but in real life, we never really truly has the biggest heart. If life were to be that easy, it wouldn't be life. If we knew who had the biggest heart, if we could just go on Google and search, life would be easier, but the whole purpose of life is to learn and move on, cause that's all we can do. What has happened and God has still kept us alive and we are all still here. What's the whole point of God giving us that chance if we're just going to look at our past and not move forward? An example of this is soccer. If you miss a goal in a match and still get to play, do you keep on thinking about the goal you missed, or do you keep on playing the match and try to redeem it? I'll let you answer that. The world's oldest living rose is believed to be 1,000 years old. It grows on the wall of the Cathedral of Hildesheim in Germany and its presence is documented since AD 815. How do we know who is more loyal and who has loved us for the longest and who hasn't given up on trying to win our hearts? But sometimes the most loyal ones aren't meant for us, and sometimes we don't even realize who has been there for us the longest. Sometimes we are the most disloyal to these people. We need to learn that life is not just about us and there are others in our lives, and we can't expect people to be loyal to us if we are not loyal to them. We need to remember, treat others how you want to be treated. According to the legend, the rosebush symbolizes the prosperity of the city of Hildesheim. As long as it flourishes, Hildesheim will not decline. In real life we don't have anyone who represents us. We have to represent ourselves and stand up for ourselves. If you see someone talking and spreading rumors about your friend, remember, it causes $0 to defend your friend's name when they're not there, and you might genuinely help them. I know it might put you at risk, but why not try to do the right thing when we can? Why do we only realize something once it's done? Why do we only care about others when we want to? Why do we only care about the people we want to? Why can't we just do the right thing? And I know it sounds easy, but it's not, but it doesn't mean we can't do it. I don't know if you know this, but out of all colors, there are no black roses. Now in real life, no one is completely perfect. Some people are genuinely kind and generous. And some people try to do good. But no one is truly perfect on earth. That's just how it is, and we can't change that. That's why nowadays people tend to showcase all their flaws, and we're all spreading positivity. And if you don't, it's time you start thinking about your actions and reflect. What might sometimes be referred to as a black rose is a dark red rose. A good example is the black rose of Turkey, which is a breed that appears pitch black to the eye but has a dark reddish crimson color. As always the same in real life, we may find people who we think are perfect for us. But they do have flaws that we sometimes cannot see or are blindsided by. No matter how perfect someone is, they will always have some flaws in some way, shape, or form. And that's not bad, it just makes us human. Remember, life isn't just about us. Roses can grow quite tall. The tallest ever recorded rose bush stands at over 23 feet, 7 meters, tall. You may be wondering, how could this be related to something in real life? Well, this could be related to our patience. Patience can go a very long way, and some people have the best patience in the world and can go for a very long time, and sometimes it's quite impressive. But do all of us go to our maximum capacity with our patience? Or do we just snap at the first step? Well, some of us do, we just don't notice it. I'm going to assume most of you know the saying actions speak louder than words, and this is very true. But that doesn't mean words don't hurt. There are over 100 species of the rose, crazy right? Many of us have many different sides of us, not necessarily like two-faced, but more to feel more comfortable and to have the person we are with feel better. We usually change depending on how well we know the person, how friendly they are, or just who they are in general. This is not necessarily bad, as we might do this out of pure niceness. So if you see your friend or family member completely change their behavior when they're with someone else, don't immediately assume they're two-faced and talk bad about them. The rose also grows into a fruit. The fruit is called a rose hip. It is shaped like a berry and most are red, but you can find black and dark purple versions. People can also grow and nurture into great and successful people. Let's take Eminem for an example. He was hated by his mother, his wife cheated on him, he failed school, he was doing drugs, but today he is one of the most respected rappers in the world. So this is one example that just because someone is bad at the beginning doesn't mean they're going to be bad forever. Cause great things do truly take time. Another example is Harry Potter. It took almost 5 years for J.K. Rowling to just plan Harry Potter. And another 1 year to complete it. It got rejected about a dozen times, but in the end, it was a huge success. Just because you fail the first time, doesn't mean you will always fail, so, never give up, no matter what. The rosehip of some rose species is known to be full of vitamin C. This is why the rosehip is sometimes used to create jam, jelly and marmalade. The hip also has minor medicinal uses, used in food supplements, and can be pressed or filtered to make rose hip syrup. This isn't going to be like the previous parts. This is going to be different. Even though someone may have a lot of benefits to you and can do great things for you, doesn't mean you can use them. There is a very fine line between getting help from someone and using someone. Remember, how would you feel if you were working super hard and thought you had true friends, but in the end, you find out they were using you? Ancient Romans used roses as room decorations. Sounds romantic, right? They sometimes wore the flower as a necklace. In going, To be honest, I didn't know that it was also believed in Roman circles that anything said under the rose was deemed to be top secret. In real life, if anyone trusts you with a deeply personal secret, you should always keep it sealed. Remember, telling someone else is just backstabbing the person. If they trust you with it, you should keep it. Roses can live for a very long time. There are rose fossils discovered that date back 35 million years. The large rose bush that covers the wall of the Cathedral of Hildesheim in Germany has been there for over a millennium. I never knew that roses could last that long. However, in real life, not all of us are lucky enough to be able to last that long, but despite knowing this, most of us still don't use our time we have to our maximum capacity. An example is me writing this right now. I honestly never knew that I would enjoy writing books, but I do. I knew since I was a child that I didn't want to have a regular life. For me, life has always felt too scripted for me. We just do some things, have children, and go, but I always wanted my life to be different. I didn't want to be the same as everyone else in the world. I wanted to have something special, something that will stand after I die, and I hope I can accomplish that by writing this, but all I know is that I enjoy doing this. If you're not enjoying anything that you're doing, you might want to rethink everything you are doing right now. This does not include school, because the school will always be useful, and just cause you fail a class, doesn't mean you're always going to fail, and just because you're going to school, doesn't mean you can't do anything else. I've gone through many hobbies to find out and try writing, but trial and error. And here's one thing you can say if your parents are comparing you to anyone: God didn't make any two lives identical. He worked hard and took time with each of us, and we're all here for a purpose at the end. Cavareglia in Italy is the largest private rose garden in the world. In life, we never know who is the biggest person at heart, but as long as we're nice and we do good in life, then we know at least that we're the biggest at heart. We don't need to wait for someone to step up in life. Why can't we do it on our own? The buds of the tiniest roses are the size of a grain of rice. Crazy, and we need to know even the tiniest act of patience can also help a lot. Even if it's small, it's still there, so appreciate everything anyone has ever done, from getting your phone for you to teaching you. Everything counts in life and has an affect, small or big, it's all worth it. Since ancient days, the rose has been known as the ultimate symbol of love. The rose is also associated with sympathy or sorrow. Just because we look like we are only happy and joyful and crazy and the life of the party, doesn't mean that we aren't sad, or desperate for help. We can't just look at someone and assume that just because they're smiling and look happy that they are happy. If you thought about someone while reading this, I suggest you drop them a message and check on them and make sure they're okay, because you never know. Archaeologists have discovered rose fossils that date back 35 million years. There are sometimes things that have been with us or that have been keeping us sane that have been with us for decades, but do we ever realize how long they have been with us? I genuinely thought that the fossils of a rose would be found at least 5,000 years ago tops, but it was 35 million years. It may seem that someone has only been with us for a couple of weeks, but they might have been with us for way longer. Appreciate everyone you have. You know the saying, stop and smell the roses. Well, roses weren't chosen for this phrase by chance. Their lovely aroma is a popular floral scent and is even used in many women's perfumes. Specifically, rose oil has been an important ingredient in the perfume industry for centuries. The process of extracting rose oil from flowers requires a huge amount of roses. Just 1 gram of oil is produced from 2,000 roses. It may seem that something that is done is super easy and requires nothing, but it does. I mean, it may seem that your parents looking after you is not that hard. They work, earn money, spend some to feed us, and send us to school, and that's it, but it's a lot more. Whenever they compare us, we all complain about it, but when we tell them it's not that hard, we don't think about how much that might hurt them. It hurts a lot when you work hard for something but it's not appreciated, so please appreciate your parents. I know it may seem like they're not doing a lot, but please trust me when I say they are doing the absolute most they can for you. If you aren't keen on the classic red rose that appears in movies and Valentine's Day cards, you're in luck. There are over 10 beautiful colors of roses, all with specific meanings. Besides red roses symbolizing love and romance, pink roses exude grace and elegance. The vibrant color of the yellow rose represents friendship and cheer. On a more somber note, white roses signify sympathy, which is why you might often see them at funerals. However, white roses can also represent purity, spirituality, and innocence. For your next congratulatory bouquet, maybe for a graduate or new hire, offer orange roses. They represent enthusiasm. Everyone on earth can tell a different story. We all might look like we're all the same and have similar lives, but we all have different lives, and we all represent different things. Some of us give off a very good vibe. And people love hanging out with us, and we are known as social butterflies, and it's great. However, it's key to remember not everyone is like that. Some people might look like they give off bad vibes and are people you wouldn't want to hang out with, but how do we truly know if we never actually try? It's important to at least introduce yourselves to them to make them feel welcome. You probably could name the US national bird, hint, it's on the back of the quarter, but you might not know the national flower, the rose. In 1986, President Ronald Reagan declared the rose the national flower emblem of the US. He even did so while standing in the famous White House Rose Garden. Various varieties of roses are also the state flower of Georgia, Iowa, New York, North Dakota, and Washington, D.C. In life we don't know things about certain people. We might lightly tease them about a necklace or a shirt or some other things, but we never know how truly close that item may be to them. What if it's their grandma's necklace she was wearing? What if it was the last gift from a loved one? So be careful about what you say and how you say it. A rose by any other name would smell sweet and rich but would have a much lower price tag. Famous rose breeder David Austin spent 15 years and $5 million breeding a rare rose variety that he called Juliet. The Juliet rose sold for $15.8 million in 2006, making it the world's most expensive rose. $15.8 million could change a person's life forever. But David Austin took 15 years and $5 million to breed one rose. All hard work takes time. For some of us things may be very rushed. But for some of us we may give up because things take too long, but patience is key to success. If you're truly passionate about something, no matter how long it takes, as long as you put hard work into it, it will all pay off at the end. Roses are one of the oldest plants under human cultivation. All modern roses derive some part of their DNA from one or more of the 8 rose species that were native to Europe and Asia. All roses fall into one of 3 form classifications, being either bush, climbing, or shrub roses. However, more than 2 centuries of breeding and hybridizing have served to produce many thousands of rose species and cultivars, each with a unique mix of characteristics. In life at some point we get married and have children. Their DNA and genes can go a very long way back, so never compare your 2 children with each other or blame them for acne or oily skin or being overweight. Everyone is different, and please remember all their genes are passed down from you and your other generations. All roses have a flower head that is round in shape and is symmetrical across its face and down its vertical axis. Every human alive has some good purpose to fulfill in life. God never creates someone for absolutely no purpose. He wouldn't waste his time on that. The petals, no matter the number, distribute themselves evenly around the central ovary, anthers, and stamens. No matter how long it takes us, we are all destined to fulfill this purpose in life. It could take days, weeks, months, years, or decades, but we are all destined to fulfill this purpose at some point in life. We just need to let God do his work. I mean, how would you feel if you were at work and your boss kept on bugging you to finish a task? It would probably make you annoyed, irritated, do it worse, and be in a rush. If you are a student, imagine the same scenario but replace the boss with a teacher. Same applies with God. Let him do his work. He always has a plan. Rose petals range in shape from a pointed cone to a rounded tear shape. People come in all different sizes, even though when we think about it we have one ideal shape. there is still a huge variety. Some lay flat while the edges of others curl up or under. Some people tend to be introverted and like to stay inside and not go out a lot, while some of us are extroverts, which are the exact opposite. We're all still human. Roses can come with as few as 5 to as many as 60 petals overlapping and layered on each flower head. People can have only a few characteristics and be very simple and understandable, while others may be a whole mystery and have multiple sides and characteristics, but again, still human. While the number and color of petals vary, their texture is shockingly similar. While we are all different, we're still good in some way, shape, or form. Rose petals are very finely textured and veined but feel smooth and slightly cool to the touch. They have a silky nap to them that is very soft and almost imperceptible. All people can like whoever they want, some are very nice and cool, while some are unintentionally mean, but we can't judge anyone without looking at ourselves. The petals can be bicolor or tricolor and bloom and appear in nearly every color save blue and black. People can be as simple as a piece of paper or as complicated as a Rubik's Cube, but that's not for you to decide. We can only choose how we react to it, and how we handle the situation. We can only choose the definition of ourselves. I don't know if you know this, but roses have been cultivated for their beauty and fragrance for upwards of 5,000 years according to the University of Illinois Extension. Imagine that, being used for 5,000 years of your life just for something you have that could benefit others. Sounds painful, right? The sad part about this is that some people do this without thinking and even realizing it. The sheer size of the rosa genus makes these plants difficult to formally classify, but some organizations have categorized roses into groups according to their origins. Now, we don't usually realize this, but we tend to label people without realizing it. We label them as the innocent one or the popular one, but we usually don't realize it. But it does happen. It's actually quite hard not to, but it just happens naturally sometimes. If we can keep it to ourselves and not treat them differently, then it's great. But if you can't, then I think it's time you start changing the way you label things or try to keep them to yourselves. It's hard, I know it from experience, but it deeply affects someone when this happens. So I know I've already said this, but think before you speak. Hybrid tea roses are popular for their long stems topped with gorgeous blooms, but they are somewhat fragile plants. Some people may be known to be super tough or very intimidating, but we don't know how some are. It could be anyone from your bully to your parents. Some people are very fragile but just don't show it. Hybrid tea roses have upright growth and bear a single flower per stem. There's only so much a person can take till they break. Now, just saying talk to someone or reach out don't always help. I mean, if all it took was for someone to say 3 words, I'm pretty sure no one would be suffering. But don't get me wrong, reaching out does help a lot. But just saying it doesn't help. But if you're reading this and you do need to reach out but don't know how to, I'll give you an example of how it would help. Let's say there's one egg. If you were to walk on one egg, it would crack and break. It would be all over the place, everything would be mixed up, it would be a huge mess and there's no going back once it's cracked. But if you were to step on about a dozen or multiple eggs, they wouldn't crack under the pressure. It would be hard, but no one would crack. So, right now there's not much I can do through you reading my writing through a screen, but I hope that example was good enough. For the over 100 species of all roses, they all have 5 petals except with one rare exception, the Rosa sericea, which has only 4. In life, it's quite rare to see completely different people, but the same with the rose. Even though it's the only different one, it's still a rose. Even if someone in life has completely different traits and physical abilities, they're still defined as a human. The word rose comes from French, but the source is from Latin's rosa. When we do certain things, others may get credit for it, others may be known for it, but as long as we know that we did it, it should be enough. If the person you helped is truly grateful for your help, they will give you credit, even if you don't want it. This happened recently to me. It was with a script. I helped my friend with it, but our teacher didn't mention my name, because he didn't know I helped. But my friend ended up telling my teacher that I helped and I got credit, and I was very happy. I definitely did not expect it to happen, but we both were so grateful for it. So the other day when I was looking at roses online for this book, I saw a rainbow rose for the first time in my life. Truly mesmerizing and beautiful, and I assumed the petals were painted with different colors. It turns out that there is another way it is made. The stalk is separated at the bottom and put in water with different colors. As the rose sucks up the water, the colors are transferred into the leaf. We think that some things are done very easily with no effort. For example, your teacher's planning a script. We assume that they just have to get a topic and write, right? No, there is a lot of planning that goes on to be able to even write the first line, but sometimes people don't showcase how hard they work. I am actually working quite hard to write this, but not that many people realize it. They all think that this is just as a little hobby that I'm doing and it will only last 1 month or so, but I am working very hard on it, but no one is tearing me down or making me take action or decisions I'm not ready for yet, and I'm so grateful for that. And even though I feel like some people are trying to challenge me, I'm saying no to it, because I'm not writing to prove that I am the best. No, I'm writing so that people can enjoy and so that I can enjoy. If you have the wrong purpose or motive in something and your motive is the reason you want to do it, you should rethink it. Is it worth it? So next time please appreciate even the smallest piece of hard work put into anything, and next time you go shopping for roses maybe you will want to try something different than a classic red. Because why shy away from the other 100 species of roses? They're all still pretty. I would personally stay away from the expensive Juliet rose and the 18 feet tall one, but other than that I love all of them. Robert Bendel, a 73-year-old from Morristown, bought a rose bush 15 years ago and planted it right next to his house. That's practically all he did, no fertilizer and no extra attention. Now Bendel believes his giant plant could just be the world's tallest rose bush, standing at 18 feet and 6 inches. The world's current record for the tallest rose bush stands at a mere 13 feet 3 inches, so as soon as Guinness makes the official measurements, Robert will be the proud owner of a record-holding plant. Anything is possible, even in the word impossible, it is possible. You may think that this is just a saying, but it is true. I mean, what is stopping you from taking the first step to your dream right now? Let's say, you want to become a singer. What's stopping you from taking 2 minutes and watching a YouTube video to help improve your singing? What's stopping you from having a karaoke live on Bigo to gain an audience? Or, switch up, let's say you want to become an author, like me. What's stopping you from opening a Word document and just writing? Sure, you are busy, sure you are tired, but instead of watching Netflix, you could just take 2 minutes. You can still watch your Netflix and YouTube. Just remember, there is no actual valid reason for you to not chase your dreams and take the first step. By writing this I am taking my first step. Am I scared? Very. Am I sure this is gonna work? No. Is that stopping me from trying? No. I want to take a moment to appreciate the Sweet Juliet. I'm going to start off by laying down some general facts about the Sweet Juliet. It has a color that is called glowing apricot. I personally feel that it's like a mix of white, pastel orange, and baby pink, so that's the best way I can explain the color. It has a strong scent, it smells like tea, it has a medium blooming size, it is known as a repeat flower, which is a flower that can keep producing itself again and again. It is a large shrub. It is 140 centimeters tall and 125 centimeters wide. These are some of the basic facts and details of the Sweet Juliet rose. It has a perfect name, and it sounds perfect, so of course we think it's just naturally perfect. Same with humans. If we see someone or hear good about someone from OE of our friends or family members, we automatically assume that they are good. I'm going to assume that everyone reading is familiar with the phrase never judge a book by its cover. I hope you didn't judge this book by its cover, but we don't really tend to assume how people are by their looks. We tend to assume what they're like by hearing what others have to say about them and hear from others about who they truly are. And there's actually something worse than this: judging someone by their past actions. We should have the regular logic to realize that the past is the past, and there's nothing we can do except try and prevent it and learn from it and move on. I know it's tempting to get revenge, and sometimes we just want them to learn their lesson, but that's for God to handle. The world's oldest rose is so tough it survived being bombed in World War II. Well, that's a fact that no one expected. Imagine that, one single rose surviving an entire world war. Now one didn't research about what I'm about to say next, and one don't have any evidence or proof to support my statement, but one can still say it for 100% valid fact. One can tell that there is no way that a soldier or person would go out of their way to save a single rose. They would be protecting each other, and some are selfish to protect only themselves. If one heard about a rose in World War II, one would just assume that it's gone and that it's gonna die, but even though no one even thought of protecting it, it still survived. In real life, we often search for others' approval, and we sometimes don't feel confident unless someone has double-checked it. But why do we need to wait for someone else? I'm not gonna lie, I've had a lifelong dream of being able to have an interview or getting an award, but then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna reward myself. Whether it's a trophy or a badge or a new shampoo, I'm gonna reward myself. I don't need to wait for someone else to reward me. I'm not going to lie, I started from absolute scratches, like from laying down in bed writing on my tablet on a Google document, to getting an interview, having a book with 260+ reads, and lots more. I'm going to quickly quote something from our man: if they aren't a part of your struggle, they don't deserve to be a part of your success, so just remember that. Now I'm going to take a small break. I know writing this it seems easy, but I'm going to be real. Actually applying some of these lessons in real life can be a tough thing to do. When I started writing, I genuinely felt shy, and I knew that other people always started from the absolute bottom, but I didn't want to have to get through the bottom. I just thought that this would all be useless, but the saying that kept me going is, what do I have to lose? Remember, the only thing between you and the stars is air. Now starting something new can be like starting in a field of roses. Even though you are being taken care of, it's very hard to stand out, but we should win in silence. Sometimes we gotta play the fool, to fool the fool. I'm feeling very anxious to publish this, because I don't know whether people are going to like this or not. Will people understand? But as long as I know that I tried my best, I'm fine. Now I don't know whether this is going to be good, but I know that I will be sleeping better tonight as long as I know that I published this and gave it a try. If I expect my entire family to be there for me and believe in me through this insane journey, why would I not believe in my work? Even if this fails, I have my entire life to try and make it better and to try and write better stuff. I mean, what's an actual valid reason that's there that stops me? I've been through a lot of things this week, a lot of bad things, and a lot of good things, but if there's one thing I have learned through this journey is that to get anything good you have to go through some bad things. And that's completely okay. Because of its life, I would compare life to that one multiple choice question in a maths test that has so many choices and is worth so many points. It takes a long time to solve the question ourselves, and it makes us feel stress and weird when we see that our answer is not in the choices, but we either do the question again, figure out where we went wrong, or we just choose the closest option. But at the end, we all get the points because the question itself had no right answer. In life, there is no right answer, but it's our choice what we do with it. I mean, there's only one important time, and that's now. Text: Gurleenjit Kaur Randhawa. Images: Susan Duda. Cover: www.fineartamerica.com. All rights reserved. Publication date: September 30, 2020. https://www.bookrix.com/ed99688a7474f5